I got the pre-show with an image featuring our illustrious guest here.
Oh, the pizza one.
Yeah.
Nice. We have started briefly, or at least a little bit.
Just remember, anything you can and say will be live streamed and will be
Okay.
recorded for posterity.
Yes.
Not for your posterior, for posterity, which is a difference.
Blah. Blurg.
Why did you just pop up a card saying see more COL Drag Race videos?
Me? What?
No, the live stream.
Oh.
Oh.
Speaking of which, we should let the entourage know. The review. Also need to disable notifications for 4 hours.
Oh, God. Him and Skype. Swear.
Yeah, I think Chester was saying that he wants to make that picture of me a meme. I'm like, okay,
That's how you bring all the bears to your yard.
what?
That
Wow.
pizza brings all the bears to the yard.
I mean,
It's like just use pizza instead of milkshake.
Milkshakes?
And
Yeah.
we've got everything covered.
I think both will work just fine to bring certain bears to
Or
your
as
I mean, unless you're
Adrian
like
would say, Krispy Kremes would bring all the bears to your yard.
True. There he is.
hey,
With his resting bitch face.
resting bare face.
Not
I like
bitch
that
face,
better.
like he's all angry and such.
There he is.
Oh, he must have clicked away. That's funny.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can hear you. And now we can see you.
Yeah, so apparently if I don't fucking click anything in Skype, I'm okay. But if I click anywhere else, God help me. Fucking program.
We are live, by the way.
I know. I caught that part earlier.
Just make sure.
Are we waiting on a Chester?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
He said he'll be in shortly, which was 5 minutes ago. So we should be fine.
Which means he'll be here in about 10 minutes.
No, he said shortly. He may be
I
having
know.
dinner. Or...
But this is Chester time, so.
Oh, so
gay
you're
time, and
being
just
shady
add
and shitty.
in.
Got it. Anywho.
Look, for most people, I if they are gay, I just throw them into gay time and assume. I don't care if it makes an
Got it.
ass of you and me. I will assume that for all gay men.
Good to know.
And be impressed when people are on time.
All right. Oh, I suppose I need pics.
Okay. La da 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 da. This is really good. So Diet Coke's flavors. I'm trying. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't because it's shiny. I'm trying the Twisted Mango Diet Coke. Jim came home and got me the 4 different flavors. They're really good.
Nice.
Different, but good. Like the Twisted Mango, I could see with some like rum.
See, that's the interesting thing is at work, where I work, we actually get the Coca-Cola freestyle machines.
Yay!
So I do a lot of that mix and matching at work.
In other words, you are a 8-year-old kid again.
I mean, my job does involve me playing video games all day, so.
If you're trying to say that Chris is a perpetual young child, like, well, yeah, I mean,
I think he's admitting it.
your dreams can come true. That's really what this is all about.
Yeah. Hey, it is very, yeah. There's that, and then I have Feisty Cherry next to me. And then there's ginger lime and like zesty blood orange or something. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't choose the words. I'm just.
They were talking about this like on
Feisty Cherry, Twisted Mango.
All-Star Variety Show is live now. Oh, cute. I think I'll watch that.
Look, everything was updated like hours ago.
And of course, YouTube's just being.
I didn't even get a notification. That's weird.
Okay. I know, neither did I. Did I lose everybody?
No.
Oh.
It's because Damon muted himself.
Gotcha.
Because there's always noise coming from Damon.
Yeah, I think it's his mic. His mic just picks up everything, including background white noise and that. So when it's not picking that up, it's very noticeable.
Yeah, I can actually notice that now too.
Dun, 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 dun. Ooh, I know what I'm gonna pick. Yes. What?
Nothing.
I have an idea too.
Motherfucker. Oh, copy paste is a bitch. What the hell?
I was gonna say, like, I follow your Tumblr all the time, so I can probably have a guess of what you're picking.
Calibri. 12, yeah.
Just laughing.
Oh, that's a big boy. All right.
There we go.
That's that. Has anyone copied over the stuff from the Telegram doc?
No.
All right, let me see if I can find it. It's a link somewhere.
I did
There it
link
is.
the link in the Skype chat.
Whoa. Okay, this got bigger. Well, I guess I'm just going to leave that dock open because I'm not feeling like messing around with that.
So,
Are Diet Coke's new flavors a...
do I sound normal?
Nope, you sound nasal. Like, do you have a head
Do I
cold?
sound normal?
You sound better. Yes, you're fine.
Define normal.
We could spend all day doing that. And still not get an answer.
I know him. That's a stolen pick.
Hmm?
I'm looking at Tumblr and someone posted a picture and I'm like, oh, I know him. I met him briefly. And that is not his account. It's a stolen pic.
Don't fuck it up.
If you had any superpower, what superpower would you like it to be? To digitally manipulate shit that needs corrected. Like when people steal pictures, they should pay a price for that. That's what I think.
How to reblog to the internet.
Go back.
Did not
Back.
Like it's
any-
converted
back.
to like a reblog of the original that the owner posted, or it automatically goes to the owner's blog and it then becomes a reblog. That way everybody can enjoy it.
I don't know. How about something more fun and exciting? Like if you repost somebody's Tumblr pic, you get an STD for doing that.
Yeah, but could
Or
you associate the
A cattle
two,
prod shock
or
on your asshole.
Well, yeah, it'd be an original, like genetically crafted STD that like breaks out in herpes sores, but they actually spell like across your, tramp stamp area or your crotch that says "I steal people's pics" or something.
Oh God! Wow, that sounds like a lot.
Well, that way when someone goes down on you, they realize like, oh, hey, could you turn your phone off? Because this says you're a jerk.
Oh, wow.
Oh, just saying.
I have notifications off now, so nobody should be hearing Telegram pings anymore.
Well, it's a setting you can change in Telegram.
That's what I just said I did.
No, what you said you did was you turned notifications off, which makes it sound like you turned all notifications off for all applications.
No. I meant
Chris, welcome to Cubs Out Loud, where we bitch at each other.
Oh, hey! By the way, happy 1-2 week post 5-year anniversary to me. Ta-da!
Yay!
And that's why we act like family and we just kind of say all sorts of shit to each other.
And it all gets recorded for blackmail later.
No, not blackmail, for posterity. There's a difference.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it blackmail. I would call it like a potential future husband background check, kind of.
Yeah, if anyone,
Despite-
one of us decides that we actually want to get married to somebody, they've got a record of several podcasts.
Ooh, looks like we almost might be ready on time.
Maybe.
I just got to do Twitter.
I'm double checking YouTube. Because ain't nothing happening in Facebook land.
Really? There were 2 likes on there.
I thought you guys went over them last episode.
You were here last
Possibly.
episode, weren't you?
No, remember I had a
Oh,
problem
that's right.
because dipshit me decided to be smart about something, so I turned around and disconnected and rebooted my entire computer, and y'all carried on this episode without me. So I believe Damon actually read those aloud.
No, I think
I think it was one.
I did.
someone did.
Someone did.
Doesn't matter. Anyway,
It was red. That's the important part.
Right. And Damon gets a bitch of a subscriber name this week.
yay. Yay.
Hi, Cubs Out Loud. Last year, we introduced Safe Mode, which filters sensitive content in your dashboard and search results so you have control over what you see and what you don't. And now that it's been for a while out for a while, we want to make sure everyone has the chance to try it out. Over the next couple of weeks, you might see some things in your dashboard getting filtered. If you like it that way, that's great. And if you don't, no problem. You can go back by turning off safe mode anytime. Thanks, Tumblr. Fuckers. How about you not turn it on to begin with? I think if the account already says it's adult content, you don't need safe mode. Seriously? Like nobody in a planning meeting voiced that opinion. Chris, help me out here. You work in an environment where I sure you roundtable and kind of get together and discuss some things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody somewhere surely should have, like a pervert somewhere should have said, well, if the account setting already is for adult, can't they just not be opted into safe mode?
Right.
No, but that would end up being too hard. It's much easier just to blanket everybody.
Right. Because my consent isn't... Anyways, never mind.
Well, your consent is to turn it off.
Shut up before you say something stupid, Gary. All right.
You're just crouchy, that's fine.
We clearly heard that, Damon.
I know. There was a reason.
Hi there. My name is... I build a podcast search engine. Delete. Or did you want to keep that one?
No.
No, because it's one. It just lists us, and it automatically listed us, and there's nothing to do.
Yeah, it's a
And it says something about like
ad thing,
connecting and to find new stuff that's related to your content. But as far as I can tell, there is really no way to do that.
Oh, good to know.
Quick sound check.
Yep.
Cool.
I heard that one.
I'll probably take out this.
Oh, Chester, did you want me to do whatchamacallit?
Yes. No.
Pay attention to what I highlighted on the doc.
I'm not looking at the doc.
Well, that's your problem.
Urban Dictionary?
Yeah.
You can.
Well, I thought...
It was a suggestion. I don't know if you want to do it or not.
I gotta go find it. Please tell me that this will work in Telegram.
I think so. I mean, they got a search thing in the thing.
Oh, Gary, I just saw that. The gifs of the guy in the snow in the underwear.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, that's neat. I want to use that. And then I realized you just reblogged it, so you probably are already using it.
For what?
For today, right now.
No, it's not my pick for today.
Oh.
I had already picked something else. But no, this is totally, I mean, he's a hottie. He's a hottie, you know? And somebody, this we'll probably get to this in the show, but for those of you that are listening to pre-show, this is an example of how this debate could be an issue because people would say, well, he doesn't have any body hair.
What the fuck are we talking about now?
This guy, he's hot. And like he's got a gorgeous
guy.
He's got a perfect beard syndrome. He's got PBS. And he's got a hairstyle, you know, that
PBS.
I appreciate. And
maybe that should be a show topic.
PBS?
Oh!
Public
Seamus.
Perfect beard syndrome.
Chris knows who it is.
Pay attention. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anyway.
So apparently we are live, but I didn't get a notification. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, we went
Okay.
over this.
Well, I'm reiterating it, so
Okay.
Oh, that.
nice. Philip, who uses Tumblr for anything other than porn? Well,
Lots of people.
I think if you connect the Tumblr to it, if someone's subscribed to you, it'll always appear at the top of their feed while you're broadcasting. Because I've realized with one of the streamers I watch all the time when they're streaming, that while they're streaming, that post is always at the top, regardless of how many times I refresh.
From YouTube or from Twitch?
From YouTube.
I don't know how the hell they did that.
I could probably ask them. I've been in their Discord for a while, so I can probably find that out for you.
Hmm.
What the? No, I'm not gonna do it. It's too much work right now. Okay. What is all this business? Close. Go there. Fudge nuts. Damn it. Oh. I can use this. So does anybody know when JT's actually going to take the stage?
I'm not even paying attention to that.
I know, neither am I, but I figured I'd ask.
Let's check. Let's see. Super.
I think he's going to do it during halftime.
And it's 34 seconds left in the second quarter. So that means halftime's going to come up pretty soon.
Yep.
How many seconds left in the quarter?
Well, less
30.
than 34.
Okay, so in about a half an hour.
Yep.
What?
Look, 34 seconds in football time is about 34 minutes.
No, it's
No,
not.
not quite. No.
Like 10, 15 minutes.
Thank you.
No, I would say maybe 7 to 8 if that.
All right. So I'm going to be a bitch and move over here and be eating. So whenever we start, let me know.
Well, you'll know when we start.
Okay, well, in that case, then I'm going to watch. Is this actual video? Because I'd like to see the video. I'm tired of people posting pictures.
Of what? What are you talking about?
Pink's national anthem.
Oh.
Because everyone keeps talking about it, and everyone keeps posting pictures. And I'm like, I don't fucking give a shit about a picture. I actually want to see her sing. This video contains content from the NFL who has blocked it for display.
Nobody will find.
Big motherfucking surprise. YouTube is like all over this shit. Damn. They're like blocking it everywhere. All right, so let's. What are you doing? No, I don't want to watch the Super Bowl live.
Well, you probably wouldn't be able to.
No, I am.
You are actually watching the Super Bowl live?
Live streaming.
Where is it? On Twitter?
At NFL.com.
Oh.
34 seconds left. 31, 30, 29, 28. Fumble. 27. Clock stop.
Anytime.
At least all my Philly friends are happy right now because they're winning, so there's that.
Yeah,
It's also
this
at
game. I was gonna say this game is gonna decide on whether or not the town is gonna get destroyed by happy fans or sad fans.
Ooh, that boy was airborne. "23 seconds, 22, 21, 20. Clock stop."
Welcome to football.
I'm just going to keep turning the commentators down because they're annoying the fuck out of me.
I unfortunately have to mute it because I can't stream the audio through.
Yeah, you probably don't want to get a cease and desist from the NFL.
Okay, I swear to God that flying camera was trying to zoom in on a player, but it looked like he was trying to zoom in on his butt.
Okay.
By the way, has anybody joined the chat?
Yeah, Philip's over there. Live chat.
Hi, Phil.
14 seconds, 13 seconds, 12 seconds. Clocks. Nope, 11. They're not stopping the clock. 10, 9, 8, 7.
6, 5, 4, 3. Oh,
all right.
It stopped at 3 seconds.
Yeah, they did that on purpose because now they're going to try to go for a field goal. It's 3rd and 4. Wow. Okay, so this is something I never imagined in COL history. We're actually talking about sports. like live commentating, sort of talking about a fucking sports game.
It's all just because we want to know when JT is going to be gone. Actually, I correct that. You want to know when JT is going to be gone.
I figure, like, you know, everyone's talking about this game that's, you know, bookending the JT concert. So, whatever.
You know, I am impressed with the NFL's graphics of like being able to put logos and stuff onto the field, and it looks like it's actually on the field.
Mental
if you
Floss,
look carefully, but
yeah, Mental Floss has an article about how they get the yellow line thing to work. Ooh, you're getting older, girl. Hairline receding, crow's feet. Al Michaels, the commentator.
see the guy on the left or the right?
On the right. That tie's too fat that he's wearing.
Look, he's straight.
It's the gayest conversation ever.
No, it's not. All right, now the wedge graphic on the ground is kind of cool looking.
Yeah,
That's definitely true. It's not the gayest conversation ever.
It is when
Not
watching
in COL.
football.
And toss and run, because the clock is out. It ain't nothing gonna happen. And down.
I mean, oh, wow. Eagles are winning.
Yeah.
Holy shit. This is a high-scoring game. This
That's
is like
not
only the
high-scoring.
first half, and it's 22 to 12?
Well, it is the Super Bowl, so you have a point.
Shit.
That boy got some big old hair on him.
Are we ready to do this?
Honey, I'm always ready. So JT will probably be on in like 10 minutes. I need to like prep the field and stuff.
I say 5 minutes.
Yeah, they probably rehearsed it 300 times or something. I think it's Target Stadium, I think they call the place. Has a retractable ceiling.
Oh, speaking of, here's your confluence of gay stuff. So, Chester, I don't think it's your meme, but I'm not surprised to have seen, I think it was either Raja or Raven reblogged a post in which they said, is she going to jump from there? And it was the Lady Gaga on top of the...
Yes, I saw that.
I made that.
Well, did yours, but yours had a before and after, didn't it?
Well, yeah, but somebody could have cut it out.
Oh, that's true. They could have. But yeah. Ooh, so this is interesting because it's live streaming, and we went to commercial before halftime, and it's black, and there's nothing happening. Isn't this beautiful? See, although I do have to compliment VH1 because they got their shit together for the second episode. So at least I wasn't watching three of the exact same 4 different commercials every single commercial break. That was annoying last week, but this week they got it together.
And Chris, I see that you were flopped on by Smashy.
Huh?
I see you were flopped on by Smashy,
Oh.
aka Pup Baron.
And he's talking about over in the Entourage and Telegram.
Oh, okay. Oh!
Come on, Chris, catch up. I mean, really.
My phone turned off, okay?
You've got like 3 weeks of porn to catch up on there.
Maybe.
Although apparently you can't see anything past when you started. So.
Maybe he's
No.
being responsible and making himself ready and available for the podcast that he's on.
Wait. Where is it? Oh, that's right. There it is.
And he definitely had to flip that out loudly because nobody can see us right now. Anyways, it's 13 past.
Are we
the hour.
ready? I've got my cookie.
Oh, cookie.
Are you
Shit, I
shaky?
left mine downstairs.
Well, too late to get it.
I have
I
red
actually
velvet
baked cookies.
parfait thing coming up for dessert that my partner made Marie. So that'll be coming soon.
Okay.
Coming soon to a mouth near you.
Ooh, this is fun. This is not quite like Brady Bunch, but
Yeah, Damon to your left, you.
no, Damon's on top of me, Chester's
Ha!
to the side of me, and Chris's catty corner.
Oh, okay. I have
On
you
my
different. On my screen, you're in the upper left. Damon's to your left, my right. Chester's below you. And Chris's catty corner, but like down to your left. If you look left and look down, you'll see Chris. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, let's
Wait.
do this. Did you just say wait?
Oh, I said yes, Queen.
Oh, I heard.
I got Dane
Like-
to say that last night. Hilarious.
Anyways. Let's do this, son of a bitch. It's January. No, it's not January 28th. It is February 4th. Somebody forgot to update the doc. 2018. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I am Chester.
This room is a pigsty, and you're a dirty pig boy.
And that makes me Gary.
Don't hurt nobody with your bad self.
Welcome to Comes Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length, episode number 452. And I had a thing which I totally forgot about, and I'm trying to find it. Oh, there it is. The COL Entourage is currently looking for volunteers for a blind lube experiment. Cock sizes needed are ST, SA, SB, AT, AA, AB, LT, and LB. The control bottom and lube have already been selected. For more information, please visit tinyurl.com/telegram-COL. And by the way, we got Chris Diorio with us.
Yay!
Sorry,
What's
I had a
up?
public. I had a advertisement to read. Sorry. Anyway, Gary's just kind of like whatever. Can we move
Welcome.
on? Anyways, let's go into this. By the way, I was totally looking at the wrong doc, is why I got screwed up on my dates.
Thank you, bitch. Thank you. Thank you for that. Because I fucking scrolled back up and I was like, hold on, motherfucker. I changed the date.
Even so, when I went through the doc and made corrections, I even said, I'm doing it from my phone. Someone please double check it.
What the fuck just happened?
So I apologize. In any case, this weekend has been, or this week kind of, has been food experiments but not much, just two things. The first one was making some soft tacos for myself using the taco seasoning that I got from my mom for Christmas. It's not something you get in a packet. It's something in this bottle. It's like you use 3 tablespoons of it for it and stuff like that. So I made some taco meat with it. But I'm like, well, I don't really have much for other fixings, but I do have, for reasons, this big old like package about this big. Oh, you can't see it, but 2 feet long. Maybe it's 1.5 feet. I don't know. But it's like the big bulk package of shredded cheddar cheese that I got when I went grocery shopping last, because they didn't have the regular size. So
It sounds like a regular size to me.
about 2 feet long.
Keep going.
No, because I go through a lot of cheese.
Oh, okay. So you get a bigger size anyway.
Oh, I get the big package.
And a lot of Metamucil.
Anyway, so I made the taco meat, and I'm like, well, I don't have any other fixings. All I've got is cheese. Oh, I got an idea. So I basically took a whole chunk of the shredded cheese and kind of like melted it in to the taco meat. It was all just like one big bulky, messy thing. And then I put it in tortillas to eat like soft tacos, because I kind of like soft tacos better than crunchy tacos myself. But that's just me. Second,
So you basically made queso.
no, I didn't use that much cheese. Like I didn't use the whole thing, just a big honking chunk, and it was still kind of more meat.
He got a big, thick handful. So
It was a lot more cheese than you would put onto a taco, but less than to make queso. Because queso is primarily cheese. This isn't primarily cheese. There's less cheese than meat in this case. Anyway, so that's beside the point. And so that was my first experiment. Went okay. It was kind of weird because I didn't feel like there was enough liquid when making the taco meat for the recipe they had, because it was like 3/4 of a cup of liquid, and I'm like, of water. I'm like, okay, and it didn't really cover everything like I was expecting it to then like, you know, reduce down as part of the simmering.
Somebody's has notifications on.
I disabled those fucking notifications. Anyways, sorry Telegram,
Not me.
I'm closing. It's me.
Okay.
Anyways. Also in food experiments with that same taco seasoning, I made my taco soup. And it actually turned out really good, and probably better than using like my McCormick's packet of taco seasoning. So I really like that. Also, because I totally forgot to pick up some sour cream and some Frito scoops to eat it with. I took more of the cheese that I got and put a shit ton of it into my bowl of soup. So it was that was more like queso-ish. So that was my food experiments. Also, I've Battle for Azeroth pre-purchase came out this week. I looked at my bank account and was like, oh, I totally can get that right now. The deluxe edition. So $75 later, I'm already working on unlocking my allied races. I've already created 3 characters using 3 of the races the 3 races I was able to unlock. Still need to do some grinding for the last one, but for now. And there's 2 more that will come out when the actual expansion releases, which should be before September. We don't know an exact release date for that. Also this week, or actually it's technically coming out this week, the week we're speaking of, but this past week, the HomePod started pre-purchase. I also work at Apple, and I have some friends who are actual employees who get a discount. And the discount amount, which, because I'm not sure if it's supposed to be released to the world what it is, was enough that when I looked at my bank account, I was like, I can afford that. And so they're reaching out to see if somebody can help me purchase a HomePod for the employee price. Basically, they buy it and I pay them back. Because I found one. I found one so bad. Also, got married for the 3rd time in Stardew Valley, this time to a woman. And she is pregnant with our first child.
Yay.
And to those people who do play Stardew is Emily, because she was really easy. Just amethyst. Could get a relationship up with me just fine.
I still need to play that game. I've heard a lot about it, so
just start with the standard farm. You'll be fine. And don't. I'm being bisexual in this game, and the fact that 2 of my male farms have got married to men. My 3rd one, I decided, hey, I should probably take the straight side for once to kind of experience that. So that's what this one.
Propagate.
My other 2 farms are going to be women. So I suppose that might make me a transing game. I don't know. One of them will be married to a man. One of them will be married to a woman, and I haven't decided who yet. But I haven't even gotten to really getting into them yet. I just kind of like started their farm, so I had it there. So that when I get to the point where I'm going to like cycle through them to keep things interesting, that I'll do that. Anyways. So that's my geeky moment of the week, dealing with Stardew Valley. Damon?
Yay. So this week has been interesting, to say the least. I had a couple of days off. I went back to work. Work has been shit. Work will continue to be shit. So there's that. And then on Thursday, I found out rather unexpectedly that my stepmother passed away. Not 3 months after my dad passed, she's gone. So it's been having conversations with my brother, and who is my dad's biological son as well, to figure out what we want to do in regards to the estate and everything else. Since he's in Louisville as well, they're going to be dealing with getting a lawyer and all that stuff. So hopefully all that will be taken care of. For now, it's just going to be a matter of me probably taking some time off, which is not the greatest thing because, again, work is being really crazy and it would be really good to have time off. But you know what? Can't really deal with work right now. So, yay. Quick and easy, quick and dirty. That's me. Chester?
I was not ready for that.
Did you
let's
say
see.
you wanted to do something quick and dirty with Chester? What?
Oh, honey, we've done that already.
Yeah. Gary's face.
Gary, I missed you.
I had my TSA assessment earlier this week. I went into it just ever so slightly nervous, and I don't even know why, because I walked out of there, and as soon as I went through all of the interview questions that they had, they're like, "You did really well on all of your questions," and I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And they started processing me through all sorts of other steps, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've already been through this before," and kind of got chit-chatty with one of the women helping me through all that stuff. So that was fun.
Yay.
It was funny because when I went in there, all of the candidates coming in to do different parts of the assessment were all put in a room together. And the very first person I had talked to, she's like, "I'm going to be sending you back out to the waiting area. You need to make sure that you do not discuss any parts of the assessment test with any of the other applicants that are out there." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I'm being quiet and I'm keeping to myself and can't have your cell phone in there. So I'm like flicking through magazines. And all of a sudden, all the other people around me just started talking about what they just got done with, what happens during it, what's going to be happening next. And I'm like sitting there like, I'm just going to bury my head in this magazine and pretend I don't hear any of you. Like, what a bunch of idiots.
Well, it's well, not mob mentality, but everyone's going through the same experience. It's sort of a way to share that feeling of how everyone feels and what have you.
Yeah, but they were very explicit about telling us to not talk about things, and then here they are talking about it. It was
unless they were plants. They were trying to see if you would break.
I don't think it's going to be that bad.
So.
I don't think so either.
It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy.
Anyways, Chester.
And then on Friday night, I went to Club Diversity here in town, and it's where they hold the Trident meetings. And I was presented with my leather patch, which I left downstairs. Follow me on Facebook, you'll see it.
Yeah.
Or my Tumblr, I think it's on there. But they accepted me as an associate member of Trident International. So it's my first leather club.
Achievement unlocked.
I was in a puppy club back home, but this is my first actual leather club. So it's exciting.
Welcome. Congrats.
Yay, thanks. That's it for me.
Gary.
I put grouchy Matt. It's been a crap week, and I'm just not really in a decent mood. So, bleh. Sorry, it has nothing to do with Chris. Chris is very nice. He's a very good boy. I haven't seen him in a number of years. Not that I'm trying to guilt him or anything, but
halfway across the country, things get harder. All right.
Mama Gary is kind of complaining that you're not seeing him.
I don't know what else to say.
Gary's just currently a Jewish mother, so don't worry.
No, it's just kind of easy to pick on Chris. I do have 2 questions for you, though, Chris.
Sure.
First, I want to make sure that we have your last name correct. Is it like the cookie dessert from Nabisco? Okay, so it's Diorio?
Yes.
Okay. And secondly, what?
I'm laughing because at some point I made some silly image or graphic with an Oreo on there.
You did. I remember that.
But I don't remember what it was now.
Did you put a semi-viscous, slightly opaque like glaze on it to feed him, or
are you saying that this did he design an alternative version?
Did he
of
get
the
a
shirt
nookie
that we
cookie?
have?
No.
That's a hashtag, David. That's a hashtag. Nookie cookie. All right.
Cookie.
Anyways, no, Chris. My second question for you is, well, we'll get to you in just a couple of seconds, but leading into that, why don't we? Because I don't really want to talk about me, and you're our guest. What is it that you do occupationally? If you can-
Yeah. So I actually work in video game development, specifically as a QA tester. I work up here at Raven Software, which is part of Activision. Yep.
Which is also part of Blizzard, so Activision
Yes.
Blizzard, so it makes me even more.
And
proud.
now, yep, and now King as well, the people who made Candy Crush.
Oh.
So that's all of us now.
So your job is to basically play video games.
My job currently now is managing the team that plays video games.
Oh,
I've
okay.
actually- I'm a senior now, so I actually do more of the team leading now. So
So you lead the raids as well as manage the team to make sure they're playing the games that they're supposed to.
yes.
Nice.
Okay.
Well,
Nice.
congrats on moving up in the world. And this kind of leads to my second question. I was going to ask, how do you have time to play games if your life is playing games? God. But if you're leading the teams of the people that actually play the games, I guess that makes it easier to play games in your off time.
Yeah, it does. It mainly goes down to weekends playing because honestly, even now, by the time I get home from work, I don't want to play video games. I just want to go to bed.
Right. No. And that's the reason why I ask is because people say, oh, well, but if you do what you love, like it's so rewarding. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean you want to do it all the time. Like people who love to cook don't want to go home and cook. That's why they'll make a sandwich. Like they don't make, frutti di mare, or some other, veal saltimbocca or some
I
dish or
have a
whatever.
good example of that when I get hired by a run committee that says, hey, come photograph our bear run. And I show up and I've got to work the whole time.
Jeff,
Where's
can
that
you-
fan?
This diet,
No,
this
no, no, no.
Diet Coke is delicious. I'm
Jeff,
just
you just
saying.
need to edit out the next little bit. Hey, Chester,
no.
that email that just arrived about 3:30 in the morning, you can ignore that if you're going to be a bitch about it.
And no, that will be edited out because fuck editing.
But
hard
actually,
drive.
But anyway, moving right along.
Enough about our shady co-hostship between each other. So, Chris, what's going on in your world?
well, work is actually pretty slow right now. Like the beginning of the year is usually pretty slow because we're just getting ramped up on whatever the next project is. We just put out with Call of Duty World War II. So now things are kind of slowed down and I'm trying to figure out what to do with myself.
I'm assuming you don't actually QA any of the Blizzard games. It's a different team.
Yeah, that's a different team, unfortunately. We mainly work on Call of Duty.
Because I would assume that if you work for the Blizzard team, you'd probably be a little bit busy right now with the Battle for Azeroth.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably would be.
So, Jeff, you basically have to find another guy in our community that works for the company to try to sleep with to get whatever it is you want for your version of the game.
I just want the 20.
Blizzard is one company, so.
Yeah, it is. It is. So technically, I mean, just that friends and family, alpha invite. That's all I care about.
I don't think I can really talk about it on the show right now.
No,
so
it's fine. Don't worry about it. Stay on topic.
Anyway, otherwise, it ends up being a lot of my trips to a bunch of different leather events. Last weekend was Mr. Chicago Leather, which was a good time. Going up to Minneapolis in a couple weeks after the shit show that is the Super Bowl dies down.
I've had friends talk about, I'm going to go to the Eagle tonight. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding?
I wouldn't want to go to the Eagle tonight. Or the Bolt. Pretty much the same place.
For reference, why I think that would be nuts for somebody to do that. The Minneapolis Eagle is only about 4 or 5 blocks from the Vikings stadium.
And apparently parking is atrocious right now. Like
there's no parking in that area anyway.
Well, yeah, but also apparently the NFL bought a whole bunch of like parking spots around the area, like pretty far out, and are selling those spots for some of them up to $200 for the night. So, and none of that money is going to the city. It's all going to the NFL. So, exactly. So, and it's funny because like down here this weekend, I was just on Growler, and there's a bunch of people who came down here from the Twin Cities because they're getting out of town from that shit. So
the moral of this story is fuck football players.
Yeah. By the way, since we were talking about it earlier, the Pink national anthem is on her YouTube now. It just came up on my phone saying that it got published. So when you want to finally go see it.
Nice. Good to know.
Otherwise, same shit, different day.
Sweet.
Nice.
Okay.
Same with that.
So
we go in this.
Now, whoever thought we'd be doing commercials?
I know I sure as heck didn't.
Being that we're a smaller scale podcast, we don't have advertisers knocking down our door to give us money, and that's okay.
Which is why we want to take a moment and tell you about 2 really great ways you can support Cubs Out Loud.
Over the past 9 years, COL has produced hundreds of audio episodes, and now we have matching video episodes for you to enjoy.
This year, we introduced the new COL logo and launched our new merch store over at Zazzle.com/CubsOutLoud.
Or you can also use the COL merchandise link on our podcast website to pull up the online store.
Here you can take a look through a range of products, including t-shirts, hats, poker chips, underwear, backpacks, and various other things with the COL logo on them.
And keep an eye out for new things to be added based on your interests and requests.
We typically can be found showing these great items off in the video stream of our shows.
Also, to help with our new format, we're doing YouTube video shows that help create the audio version. We have a GoFundMe campaign underway at gofundme.com/COLstream.
This campaign allows us to afford upgrading the PC that Jeff uses to produce our shows. Plus, a better computer means better quality streams.
And thanks in advance for not only listening to Cubs Out Loud, but helping support the podcasts too.
So this is the part of the show where we ask, what are you wearing? And just to show, here is the COL store. So I got the version 2 logo shirt, my version 2 logo shirt. Wait, this is somewhere around here. There it is.
That's nice.
What else do we got here? Maybe, I don't know if it's like the color of your camera or you got something new, Chester.
No, this is the one that Gary gave me for Christmas.
You got a yellow one? Because it looks yellow.
You're muted.
I pulled a David. Let me try that again.
Yes.
I gave Chester a yellow one.
For a reason.
Gee, I wonder why.
Because I thought he would like it.
And see, it's right here.
And he likes bright colors, but it's a nice soft lemon chiffon-y color.
It's seriously, the color is just yellow.
No, it's a pale yellow.
It's a long.
When you select it on the store, it's yellow.
Is it still yellow when you go to long sleeve?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm showing right on the
Sorry, I'm looking at the live feed delay. That's why I'm confused. Anyways.
There's also lime. You've got some ash. You got some light blue. It's all pretty and gorgeous. And remember, for any of the COL merchandise, you can always hit the customize link and add your name. To add text, just type your name, Fox Cub. Or, you know, it can be a tag. It doesn't have to be like name thing, but that way you always know that it's your shirt because you customized it. Moving on into this. So I'm guessing we didn't have anything on Facebook? Question mark.
Not that I recall.
Okay. Damon. Well, who we got it over in YouTube land?
Over on YouTube, we have a new subscriber, and based on a Google Translate, this is Vietnamese, and and the name is True Ing Sun Vo. So welcome.
Thank you for subscribing. Feel free to comment. And Chester,
all right,
what's been going on over the Twitterverse?
We have a couple of new followers on Twitter. Bearforest_com.
They're still
Caffeine
around?
emoji.
Not sure what that means. Sounds kind of shady.
Coffin emoji. Otter Bears. Rodrigo 651-85704. And then Wong Dan 4693. We also have two new Tumblr followers, Cerdo del Fuego and Chub Chaser 9. And we got a comment from my Ginger Powers. I got featured on Cubs Out Loud. Thanks, studs. You guys are amazing. I love the podcast. Been listening for years. My Ginger Powers is Chuck. I used him as a Tumblr pick last week.
Scroll,
Nice.
scroll, because now I don't remember what he looks like.
Handsome
Oh,
ginger
no.
bear in a singlet.
Yes.
Will he repeat? Oh, him! Hi! Well, he was reblogging some other posts, which were, I'm like, oh, he's cute. He's cute. And hi, who are you? But anyways, let me stop looking at that.
yay! Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And I believe it's time for this. Unless you forgot to put it in the doc, which I didn't look at. There was a discussion earlier. Is Urban Dictionary with Gary? Question mark.
So why don't you look at the doc and see whether or not there's anything there? Oh, never mind. So for those of you that are kind of wondering why this is all like cattywampus, it's because it's technically not an Urban Dictionary, but it was a suggestion / our definition. So as you've heard us talk about, we joined Telegram recently as a media chat mechanism. And I'm actually liking it a lot more than using like Facebook Messenger. And so over in there was a comment regarding Barracuda, and it would be spelled Bearracuda. And the definition would be for bears that catfish. At least that's the way I took it. I wasn't sure if we meant like bears that get catfished or bears that do catfishing.
I think it's the catfishing.
Took it as bears that do the catfishing.
Now,
so yeah.
Because barracudas are usually predators.
Well, because so in Urban Dictionary, what it is it's usually spelled Barra, and it says a promiscuous, sexually aggressive woman, someone who takes a traditionally masculine approach to getting laid. They're less interested in a committed relationship, more interested in having sex and just walking away in pursuit of the next score, which kind of sounds like a gay man, actually. So
now,
consequently, such a woman quickly gains a reputation for her sometimes devastating effects on the men that she sleeps with. So, I guess it's a bear that's sexually aggressive and promiscuous.
I think the idea was we were trying to think of a fish with the bear pun. Because, this is the bear community, so everything has that. However, I had to dispute this because there is a party called Barracuda at various places around the country, and I think even around the world. I think there's been some in, like, England or something. I haven't really kept track because I never went to one. I think there was one in Austin at one time. But, so I would almost consider that as kind of like there might be some brand confusion, question mark? If that's the right way of saying it. So I'm not sure if that term would necessarily be right.
There is not. There was one at Austin Gay Pride. There was one in Columbus. Milwaukee, Minneapolis
has had a few.
P-Town, Palm Springs, Saugatuck, St. Louis, Saugatuck. Yeah. So yeah.
Suck a cock? Yeah. What?
Yes. So yes, there have. So there you go.
So that's where I'm like, I suppose if you're saying he is a barracuda, careful, buddy. He's
Ooh, barracuda.
Then maybe it's kind of one of those tricky words. But so that's the Entourage Dictionary with Gary, I suppose.
Sure.
New segment. I don't know. Anyway.
Wow.
Moving on. Gary,
Nice.
what are we talking about today? Why do we have this lovely gentleman with us?
Well, so over in the Entourage, actually, this came up as a discussion topic, and I can't remember who brought it up. Was it Nick or Chris? Someone. My apologies, because I can't remember who brought it up. But basically, there was a point of, hey, why don't we have a discussion about what it means to be a person who is a part of the community but does not fit what we would probably think of physically as naturally a bear and or necessarily a cub.
Or not.
And so, well, see, and that's where this whole thing about the label issue becomes problematic, because in order to have a label, you have to have a definition. In order to have a definition, that means that some people are in and some people are out. Some people are cool kids and some people are mean girls. So, I'm just kind of like, okay. So we're kind of rehashing something, but we're not in a way, because we said, what is this thing? Because for many years, we have referred to individuals as chasers.
Correct.
But now there's this thing in the landscape about, well, there's some political correctness, I guess, or issues about the word and the wording and how it's used. So then we've heard some other things, and we're going to talk about that. But it was like, well, who could we have on as a guest? And then almost immediately, Chris came to mind. Ta-da! Now, as a point of clarification, footnote, the opinions of Chris and the host of Cubs Out Loud do not represent the entire community. So back the fuck off away from your computer, trolls.
But don't get us wrong. We are open to discussion about the topic. But, be nice.
It's
civil.
Be civil. That's it. I mean, it was a thing that, we were like, who do we know that would
Fit
probably
in that category?
Well, that would not only fit into said category, but also speak from their own personal, experience about it.
Yeah.
In a perspective that we think will be, cogent and make sense, and obviously isn't going to represent everybody's, but helps us, so to speak, shine a little bit of a light on it. So, hence the show, who you calling a chaser, is this thing about, is it or is it not appropriate? Are we entering a new kind of arena? Does it matter? I mean, there's a lot of that stuff. So, the first thing, we have a series of things we were going to talk about. So the first thing was what is a chaser, quote unquote. We don't have an official definition, but basically it's a thin-built person who does not necessarily represent any of the animal menagerie, I guess, be it bear, cub, wolf, otter, pick your whatever. in that case, that likes guys. Now, when I came into the bear community, chasers were typically described as young, thin guys who liked big men. And they liked, remember at the time, we were living in what I call the Jack Radcliffe, rose-tinted glasses era. So everybody was trying to look like they had a big, thick, full beard. They wore Levi's or Wranglers, shit-kicker boots, and, flannel. That was the era that we were living in. And if you didn't represent that or trying desperately to represent that, then you probably were a chaser. Like there was just very few kind of areas that you fell into. Now I think that things have changed quite a bit. So that being said, Chris, with having you on, and thank you for coming on to talk about it, what are your experiences like with this and how you relate,
So, first off, just to go back, from when I first started coming out in the community, the term chaser for me came from mainly the shortened form of chub chaser, of that as general phrase. I actually, one of the first people I met when I lived out in New York was more of that cubbish build, but he referred to himself as a chaser. So in my mind, even from early on, I've never seen chaser as a skinny-only term. It was mainly just, if you like bigger guys, regardless of how big you are, you're a chaser.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing with it, is because I'd say about 75% of the community is chasers in that sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
But with my first experiences with it, yeah, I do remember that there were times when it was interesting coming out to your first like bear event, being a skinnier guy, not really fitting that mold, that, as you said, that Jack Radcliffe type look, because a lot of, from what I've seen, your connections in the community then were based off of how you look. I've had people who gave me really straight cold shoulders at the bar just because they didn't find me attractive. And that came along with the whole chaser thing. Is I know people who've said that there's been guys who've gotten mad at them because they think, oh, you only like me because I'm fat, and get mad at skinny guys just for that mindset. So I guess for me, when I first started out, it was discouraging. It was very, I got lucky because I had a group of friends that I found a community with, which made it a little bit easier. But I know a lot of people who don't really go out or don't really go to events now just because of these stories they hear about skinnier guys not being treated, I guess, well. And that's just how it was. And I think now, I guess it's more for me, like, shit, that's been like 7 years ago. So I feel like, me personally, I've grown, so I've just not given a fuck anymore. So,
well, you bring up a good point, but I have a silly question for you. Do you think that with age you also grow physically, and therefore that changes things?
Yes, that is true. That is true. Some people think I'm still as skinny as I was when you and me first met. I think so.
Awful.
No, I seriously think, like, a lot of people still see me as, have said that, are surprised. Like, I'll be honest with you, I did actually gain weight when I moved out here to the Midwest. People still think I'm still look exactly the same I did when I was 21. But
I'm gonna be one of those people that say, you generally look the same that you did when we first met, however many years ago.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying is you've put on a little bit of weight since then. Well, so have I. So it's all relative.
Oh, so this
True.
is just the theory of the expanding universe. We're just all getting bigger. So anyway,
Yes.
So, yeah, no, I mean, but I think you bring up a good point about that, especially the origination issue about. I think that it was, I don't want to say co-opted or stolen, but yes, there was a thing about Chub Chaser.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is that if you're skinny in this community, you're a chaser because where else do you go?
And
that's the problem, I think, personally. It's been one of the stigmas that is going on with like bears and cubs and chasers and what have you, is that they immediately get put in that classification, in that bubble.
Yeah.
No matter what they personally believe, it is you're small and skinny or thin and hairless or whatever, so therefore you fall right and you go into Chaserland, and that's where you stay. No matter what you believe, that's what you are to the rest of the community.
When I first discovered the bear community back in 1990
something
96, 97, somewhere in there. And I got onto different chat rooms. I think at the time it was bearnet.net.
Oh, God.
And I was trying to figure out, well, where do I fit? Because all these guys that I find attractive, I look nothing like that. So how do I, make myself known to these guys? And people started referring to me as a chaser. And I just took that as meaning I'm a thin guy going after these not thin guys. By the way, I used to be a lot thinner than I am.
And if you would like
put on,
evidence
like,
of that,
80 pounds.
you just need to go look at the COL pedestal and you'll see an old picture of Chester.
Well, even before that.
Well, no, that's true. But even since then, those years ago, I can see a difference in Chester.
So
and
there's
I
hope
think it's
for
not
me.
just age.
So I kind of, in a way, have a similar background as Chris does with, somebody else labeled him this way. And I didn't know any better. So I just accepted it. And I continued to call myself a chaser until about the point in my life where I started putting on weight and realized that, you know what, I don't consider myself a chaser anymore because I'm not exactly thin anymore. So I started calling myself a cub.
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of it's not similar, but it's the same, similar-ish. Anyway, so I always had identified as a cub in the bear community, but I also have known myself to have a attraction to larger guys. I always have, still do in some capacity. So I went on to Bigger City. If you remember Bigger City, I think it's still around. Yeah. And I went on there and I identified myself on there as a chaser. And the reason I did that is because I was not necessarily a bigger guy at the time. I was 200-ish pounds, a little over 200 at the point. But I was not I like guys bigger than me. So it was my way of, for me, identifying in that community in that way so that I can get, no offense, what I wanted, which was I wanted a bigger guy. So, and then on the flip of that, there are some people in the bear community who would, again, this is like 10, 15 years ago, who would have considered me a chaser as well in the bear community because I was not exactly, I'm not hairy. I didn't have this little bit here. And I would be considered a chaser because I was not hairy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting that, you know, you guys are talking about that. I'm like, yeah, that would have been another stigma. It would have been, it was put on me a couple of times. And I had to tell people, no, I identify as a cub. I like bears. I have a bear. So I'm a cub.
Yeah.
And that's my self-identification.
And that's the same with me. Like I used chaser when I first started coming out, mainly because that was really the only thing I had to really identify myself as. I didn't see myself as a cub. I didn't see myself. There was no really any other labels. And honestly, like I said, by default, I am one. It's just there is, besides just your look, there's also this other stigma that goes out about chasers in general. I think actually it's kind of funny. Yesterday there was a Facebook post. A friend of mine on see if I can find it on Facebook decided to post, and it was basically, it said something like chasers be like, and there was an image of a mop head under it, and on the label it said light and thirsty.
Wow.
So and it was just funny that this came up yesterday or right before I came on here. And that was one of the things I definitely see. Yeah, and I see it right now. Actually, I don't know if I can link it. I'm not sure, but I don't know if for me, that is something that I get a lot, is that chasers are more aggressive or more trying. I don't know what the right words would be. More thirsty than most of the community. And I'm not sure if that's... I don't know if we're any more thirsty than other bears in the community.
That is so true. So I think what it boils down to for a lot of people is that people feel that chasers are, because of, and I'll just use it, because of the word, they're always looking, they're always running, they're always chasing, they're always going for, you know, the next big bear, to look for their next snack, to look for their next meal. Yeah. They're always going to be doing that. And that's, I think, part, again, we're talking kind of about the stigma of chaser. And that's one of those other stigmas that's, I hate to say, I don't think that's 100% accurate. Don't get me wrong. There are guys that are smaller and would be considered chasers that are probably big old horn dogs and want something and want everyone and, you know, want to have sex. But don't we all in some cases, and depending on the situation? And, you know, heaven forbid you go to a bear run. I mean, God, like, everybody's thirsty in some capacity. Mm-hmm. So it's always been one of these things for me that that's the other one I hate, is that they always feel like chasers are never going to be, they're never going to be the settling down kind of people. They're also going to be they're going to be the ones that are always going to be like looking for their next bear, or they're going to be, grass is always greener because they're going to find a bigger guy, they're going to find a sexier bear or chubbier guy or whatever that they're looking for, and they're going to go run off with them. And I'm like, no, like, that's not true.
Right. And so, like, I mean, that was one of the things, like, in our Entourage chat, we kind of, like, created a doc for the guys that are in the Entourage to add in, like, part of the discussion, like, some questions. And one of them was, does chaser as a term imply aggression? Which, Chris, you were, I think, just mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think that was a presumption. Now, looking back on it, I guess the new term would be thirsty.
Yeah.
I think that was the brush that was being painted on thinner guys that were into bigger guys, because behaviorally it seemed like they were always kind of like, you know, and that's not really fair or true to them. Not all of the guys that I know over the years that could be in this, you know, box or whatever you want to call it, you know, were necessarily that way. I've known a lot of men that are just kind of all across the board. So some have, you know, a high libido and some don't have much of a libido. And some like guys that are really big, some like guys that are kind of big, and some like guys that are really hairy and not. So it's one of these things where I'm like, I think, as we've talked about, how you choose to label yourself is really important. And that's the biggest thing as to whether you want to accept that someone else says you're a thing.
Yeah.
And if that fits for you or not. Because the second question to that part was, is there a requirement of passivity on the part of the chasee? Meaning, if, let's say in this example, Chris is a chaser, and I guess that makes me a chasee, like, does that make me passive and make him aggressive? Which is weird to me, because I'm like, wait, does that mean I'm sub and he's dom? Does that mean like I'm a bottom, he's a top? Like, where do you really start to draw the line in this whole issue about how that works?
I agree with you there. I think one of the, again, not the problem, but I think that's some of the things that, as I've grown up and realized, like, the way everyone interacts and deals with getting a mate or catching a partner is different. There are some people who are naturally aggressive, and there are some that are naturally passive. There are some that, for the sake of, we'll use thirst as an example. Because of their thirst, they become more aggressive because they're at a bear run, they're at a leather event, they're at a something or another. And I think that's a matter of the whole, like, stigma around it. I don't think that that's always the case, that a chaser is aggressive and a chasee is passive. I think sometimes it goes both ways, because as we know, there are bears and cubs and chubs and what have you that predominantly find themselves attracted to chasers. So they're chasing the chasers, as it were.
Yeah, and I've definitely had experienced that.
We do have an episode in the first generation called Chasers, where we had a bear on who was interested in the chaser variety, the thinner guys.
Oh,
who happens to be married to a chaser at this point in time.
I thought you were talking about, like, skinny guys on Growler that still hit me up.
Oh. Well, there's that too. That's true. That happens out there. There's
yeah.
I mean, it's all about what you're attracted to, honestly.
Exactly.
Well, and that kind of goes to the question, like, the one question was, what does the term chaser mean? And, like, is it someone that's into cubs, bears, chubs, or is it more about the act of pursuing? It kind of goes, I guess, back to that aggressive type thing. I don't know. Like, I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would say it was meant to be about your attraction, about what you are attracted to, and it just created this definition of being more aggressive or being more chasing, I guess. Which is why, I mean, I've seen other runs or other groups use different words to describe it, and I feel like they do a better job. So,
well, so you bring up a point. It was in part of our bullet. So right now, I think there's a little bit of I guess we're bringing to light a potential debate between, I think what I've heard is 3 main interchangeable words. Mm-hmm. Chaser is the one that's been around probably since the 90s, so perhaps almost 2 decades now. But over the past handful of years, there's been 2 other words that have come up that I'm kind of curious about, that I think people are trying to find a more PC way to handle the issue about size differential, maybe. Mm-hmm. And so there's hunter, which is an actual title that's been given in bear competitions. And then there's admirer. And I will own this personally. For me, I like admirer better, because to me, that's a label that a person could choose for themselves if they feel they are not a part of the community or don't feel comfortable saying they are, but they want to have some recognition.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, that's on them. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Admirer is actually the word I tend to use more often. I actually admirer is also a title on for TBRU. Yeah. That was actually a fun contest. So like there are groups that use both of those terms for a while now, I want to say. But I liked Admirer a lot more, mainly because it doesn't give off that aggressive feel to it. And from also what I found with Chaser, I've noticed a lot of people assume I like a certain size, like a certain size minimum, I should say. Which is funny because I've had a moment where I was making out with somebody and a friend of mine came up to me and was like, aren't they too skinny for you? I'm like,
nope.
Oh, bitch.
Whereas I feel like Admire may be a little bit more more describing more of the community that I would be into as well. So basically, if you identify as a bear, I'm probably gonna like you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more the huskiness versus the chubbiness.
I think that's where I would describe it for myself. Yeah.
Well, and so I mean, I did when this topic came up a couple weeks ago. I reached out to Adam Rodriguez Rout, who's the run. They don't call it coordinator for that position. I forget what they call it, producer, whatever, for NAB, North American Bear. And I said to him, hey, by the way, just as a point of clarification for NAB, do you refer to it as Chaser, Admirer, or Hunter? And he said that this year's title is Admirer. And I believe that's a move. They've moved away from Hunter because I know at least 1 or 2 years the title was Hunter at NAB.
Correct.
I think since the title's been accepted, it was Hunter. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah. So when we'll know for certain in just over a week and a half when we're at NAB. Yeah. But I thought that I wanted to check with him because that's probably about to be the second or third largest bear run in the country. And the reason why I talk about that in terms of scale of size is because, no pun intended, that is going to have an impact on the community because lots of people will go there. Lots of people will hear about it. It'll, be reported and discussed and posted online. And so that has ripple effects, I think.
Yeah.
And in a way, it kind of puts a spotlight on the issue more. And so I was just curious to know what they were going to refer to it as, because I was pretty sure it was Hunter. And then the way Adam answered, I was like, okay, so it appears that they're shifting or changing that. And there's no judgment in that. I don't think it's wrong that they're trying to align themselves or find what is more acceptable in terms of, title and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would love to hear. I'm actually probably going to hit Adam up after this because I'm actually really interested to hear their thought process behind that, because that's really interesting because I've known it to be the Hunter title for a while now, since I've even heard about the event. So I'm curious to see even what just spurred on it. And I guess you're right about the political correctness or whatever mindset they have on it, but I would love to hear about that.
Well, one of the things to keep in mind is that NAB as an event is sponsored / put on by an organization. So Kentucky Bourbon Bears, KBB being the organization, they kind of dictate what is going to happen at the event. So it may have been an internal club item that they kind of drove that as opposed to just the committee. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of saying this thing. Because basically when that type of an event is put on and an organization or nonprofit, whatever we want to say, like is kind of driving force and they have to basically sign on to everything, it's a very different process than like an event where it's just a core group of people and they're not answering to others. Then that other version I'm talking about is much simpler. It's just kind of like, hey, you want to do this? And they just execute it instead of going back and having a vote and a discussion and debate and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd also be kind of curious to know a little bit more of the inner workings on that for Adam, how they came about that. Some of the other stuff that, go ahead, Damon, sorry.
No, I'm gonna, it's fine. I think I know why, but keep going.
So the thing I was going to say about is, we kind of touched a little bit on this, but there's a question about what is the overlap with the term chaser and the terms like bear for bear or chub for chub? Like, do we think there is an overlap if you are looking for the same? I get what this question is trying to ask. It's probably not quite worded clearly for what I'm trying to imagine they're getting at, but like, is a bear looking for another bear a chaser? I think maybe that's kind of the question, or like a larger person looking for another person. Does that also make them a chaser?
By on paper definition,
Yes. That's what I was gonna say. Like on paper, it does kind of sound that way.
Going back to the term chub chaser, how it got started, I would say yes. But again, I feel like it would be more for like bear for chub. In that sense, it would work a lot better. Yeah. Or chub super chub, or bear for super chub, or whatever, however you want to define that. Going for the same.
You would probably consider it more like that's what you would be going after, because that's what you would be attracted to, because you're in that category. Like I get you, like semantically, if I was a bear and I'm running after that guy, I'm technically a chaser, and he happens to be a bear, that. But reality is, you're like, that's the whole like, oh, you're a bear and I like bears and I'm a bear too, so that's pretty much like a coupling that should normally happen, quote unquote. Yeah. I remember seeing all of that, especially on like Bigger City and what have you, and I was like, well, what's the difference? Oh, okay, I got the difference, because they would differentiate. God bless it. They would make, like, they had a category for chub. Mm-hmm. I remember that being one of the things, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense, because you in the world, in a realm of where everyone's kind of in the same place, if you are just looking for someone like you, then you want to kind of single yourself out. I don't know. Kind of single yourself out, or make sure that people know, so you don't get the things that you are not attracted to. If you're not into chasers and you're not into bears and you just want a chub guy, then this is your quote unquote box to put in and get what you want.
Do not contact me if.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about that before.
Yeah.
But that brings up a good point. I mean, that's kind of like what another question is referring to, is like, if a chaser is a term to define what a guy is into, can a bear chub also be considered a chaser, or is exclusive to skinnier guys? Not to kind of beat the same issue about how you define yourself as the core answer all the time, but I get where they're coming from. It's for me, I will own, because of the time that I came into the community over these past, almost 20 years now for me personally. If someone ever uses the word chaser, hunter, or admirer, I will probably imagine in my mind's eye someone who's smaller in frame and stature.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I take it.
But that's just how I see it. So until my brain shifts that image somehow, due to whatever factors, it's always going to be that way.
And I will say I believe that too, until, oh gosh, what's his name, out of Arizona, the bigger guy and his partner.
Brad Harris.
Thank you. Him and his partner was called a chaser. He called in their various identities and whatever online. I was like,
Big Bear
okay, well that's, yeah. And I was like, okay, but he is not like small.
Mm-hmm.
But he likes bigger guys, so therefore, ipso facto, in regards to definition, you are now deemed a chaser, or he is deemed himself a chaser, and that's fine. I think that couple in particular was one of the first, when I first got onto like Bear 411, or not Bear 411, Bigger City was one of those first kind of like light bulb effects for me, in that you do not have to fall within that slim, pun intended, definition of what something is, what a chaser is, or what this is, and I've always enjoyed that, because it keeps everything open and broad, and if that's how you consider yourself, then that is what you are, and let no one take that away from you.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, my friend my friend from back in Rhode Island, he, like, I would look at him and I would say, like, me ending up putting a label on something else, which I know I should never happen. See him as a cub in terms of his own size and stuff, but he always refers to himself as a chaser. And it's basically, again, I'm full believer that if you put your own label on yourself, really.
Yeah.
So if you want to identify as that, go for it.
So in the chat, Joe Guy made a very interesting point. He says, chaser and hunter makes the pursued individual seem more like an object, I think, like an indirect implication. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the reason why, in a lot of senses, we're trying to move away from those words, because that stigma is there, that a chaser or hunter is sort of objectifying.
Yes.
A bear, a cub, whatever, or chub, whatever.
But don't we all?
Well,
when you think about it, don't we all?
Yes. So Jeff brings up an excellent point, but I think that's where we run into the foggy area, because we've talked about this before. You can objectify a person, or you can see the humanity of a person. And you can do both, but we tend to not do that. It's about what's happening in the moment. So if you're being hormonal, then you're objectifying them. Mm-hmm. So if I'm hormonal and I'm objectifying and I see a picture of Chester naked, I might be all like, you know, and get excited about that. And I'm completely like not paying attention to the fact that he's a real human being and that he has thoughts and feelings and doesn't necessarily want to be treated that way all the time. You know, but then there's the other side of it. And I think that's kind of where it gets to be a little weird is, you know, what's happening in the moment. Are you being animalistic, or are you probably being more of a human, for the lack of a better way to refer to it, I guess. I don't know.
I've definitely gotten that too. I've definitely gotten, I will go back to a friend of mine who got a little miffed at me because he thought I was only interested in him because he's fat, not because of who he is, but just because of what he looks like. That also crosses the line almost into the fetishization of bigger guys. The gainer, belly play type fetishes that are out there, and people thinking, oh, you're just looking at me because I'm your fetish rather than as a person. Yeah. Yep. So I've definitely seen that as well, that side of it as well. And the term chaser sometimes will, or hunter in this mind, I feel like hunter would actually probably be even worse in this case, imply that a little bit more. And I've definitely gotten that before. So.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me the way that terms, and not necessarily change, but the way that we have this everyone has their own kind of perceived notion of something, and they also think that because of that, that's all there is, which is never true. As someone who tends to like bigger guys, I can see why someone would say, "Oh, well, you're a chaser." I'm like, no, I like a lot of different people, and that's sort of the thing. Primarily, yes, there may be if you were to go through my Tumblr feed, for example, there would be a primary kind of look in something if you kind of go through it but that's not all that I am. That's what's getting my rocks off at this moment or at that time, and it maybe be consistent in that that's something that I tend to find attractive, but it doesn't mean I don't like this and I don't like that. It means this is, I'll use 70% of what I like, and this is maybe 20 or 10 or 5. So it's a matter of looking at all of it, but you don't get to look at all of it when you are immediately meeting a person for the first time, or just looking at a picture of them, or looking at their profile on Bigger City, Bear 411, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And part of this also comes from, everyone has a type. At least this is my personal opinion. And I've told people this, and some people kind of debate it with me. They're like, oh, I don't really have a type. And then usually I'm like, really? Because in that moment, more often than not in the past, when I've been challenged, I know them well enough that I tell them what their type is. And I say, okay, well, you don't think you have a type, but Your online presence says your ideal man is blah 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 blah. And then they're kind of like, oh well, yeah. I mean, I would find that attractive. And I'm like, so this is more of a inside versus outside perspective. You may not realize you have a type, but you do.
You have
Like, and that's one of the things that I've known about me, because some guys have said, what is it that you like about guys? And I'm like, well, I like a lot of things about guys, but if you had to describe the things that distract me or distract me,
I'm going to use that more often.
Extracted.
Get distracted. Yeah, I'm like, thick thighs save lives. That's how that works for me. A nice, plump, juicy, jiggly butt will get my attention because, daddy wants something to grab onto. I mean, there's that, but there's also like just kind of a overall thickness to a build for a guy. So basically, for many years, I kind of said, think of rugby linebackers, like big, brutish, now we probably would say like flabby muscle guys, if that makes sense. Like it's so funny to be like that. I'm struggling because I'm kind of like, it just goes to show sometimes you can't easily define something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what this issue is do we have to have a name for something or not? How does that work? And going back to, well, yes, because we're a communication based species. We want to be able to relate to each other. So there has to be a way to describe something. So Chris, with the field that you work in with video games, if you hadn't given names to things, people wouldn't know how to refer to it. And it would make gaming much more difficult if you're trying to play a game and there was no consistency. It's like, oh, well, you need to use the who's a what's it. Well, what's a who's a what's it? Well, it's like a whatchamacallit in the other game. Well, why don't you call it a whatchamacallit instead of a who's a what's it? Like, so I think that's why we have to create words and make sense of that stuff. But it gets complicated because we have oddities of whether or not you agree with, this definition, this name, this kind of stuff. I mean, I find it interesting. Some of the guys in the live chat on YouTube are like, I've never heard of Hunter before. I will admit when it came up, especially as a title, I wasn't really happy about it. Probably because while people think Chaser is aggressive, I think Hunter's more aggressive.
Yeah. For a long
Hunter
time,
sounds aggressive.
Yeah, Hunter sounds aggressive. For a long time, I wore a shirt that I didn't realize what the logo meant because I'm dumb. When I saw, I was like, "Oh, it was a bear," and so it was a bear in what I realized is a target. So I've seen this shirt before, and it's technically a bear hunter shirt. You're a bear hunter, and I didn't realize it, and I bought like 5 of them. So I had different colors. I didn't have 5.
Well, you are
that was green.
Gay.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one with the bear with the paintbrush who's painting a target?
No. It is a bear, like a bear, and it's a target. It's hard. I'll find it again. But anyway, I didn't realize.
The crosshairs target.
Kind of.
Okay.
I'll have to find it. I'll find a picture. Give me 1 second. But that's what I meant. Like, it kind of came up. It can be kind of seen as a little negative because that is you're pointing your gun and said at somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just.
Is that what they're calling
I
it now?
saw
I
that-
usually just call it a cock, but
Well, so Chester's gonna go run to his closet and grab his 5 shirts, and then he's gonna do a little like fashion show runway kind of thing, and we'll just like toot boot it.
I'm not.
Oh, sorry, Damon. Anyways, I'm not even drinking. That's what's so sad. Yeah. So here's an interesting point that was also kind of put up to us is, if we think that there's a problem with the word, which I don't know if we're going to say there's a problem with the word, it's just kind of goofy. Like it's a little murky on definition, how you want to use it. They were like, is there a better one? Or is it best to use an adjective that goes with it? So the examples were like skinny chaser, bear chaser, I guess cub chaser, daddy chaser, polar chaser. I don't know.
Hang on. sorry, I don't mean to derail your thought there, Gary. But, Damon, that's not a target.
Wait, what?
That
Crosshairs.
is it is a rip off of Echo Unlimited.
Oh yeah, I had one of those, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
whatever.
The Echo logo is a rhino, but looks exactly like that.
Well,
It's still
the shirt
crosshairs.
is called Bear Hunter.
And the description does say classic bear hunter logo with bear in the sights.
So that's sort of where I'm with it. Anyway, moving right along.
Yeah.
Gary, continue your thought.
So the thing is should there be an adjective that goes with chaser? I don't know. I mean, I think that's up to you individually.
Yeah.
I don't think of it in terms of me saying, I happen. That's like I like if I was to call myself a cocksucker, do I have to use an adjective to describe the type of cocks I like to suck? I mean, is that really what we're going for? Because then doesn't that get to be a bit limiting? Like I'm a fat cocksucker or a skinny cocksucker. See, even that gets confusing because am I describing myself or am I describing the cock that I suck?
But no, but I get what you mean.
But the point of that is that's why, David, you're right. You're like, stop. Like that's the issue with this whole thing. I think is that people are like, like where's the definition? Where's the book? Someone tell me where I can find whatever this thing is.
Look, if you can define what a bear is to me, like an actual definite definition, fine. But you probably never will be able to define what a bear is to me. Mm. You'll give an example, but I would go, oh, what about this person? Are they a bear? Yes. They don't fit your definition exactly.
It's hard. And that's one of the things we've gone over before. Ha 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 ha. But we've gone over many times before when we've had this conversation about what is a bear, what is a this, blah, blah, blah. It becomes this very convoluted situation because every person's definition is different. Mm-hmm. And because the community in and of itself has grown and changed and gotten, I don't want to say flooded, but that's the word that comes to mind, with different mentalities and different people. Maybe back in the day, you could have had a really clear definition of this is a bear, this is a cub, this is a chaser. Mm-hmm. But now, 20, 30 years later, that's maybe 40 years later, that's no longer the case. You cannot have what was in the world that is now. Mm-hmm. A lot of what was has changed and convoluted and gone through many permutations because of the fact that now you have person B, you have popular sites that have changed the definition to fit what they need to do for their website. You've had mainstream media has now come into play because bears and as gay people have become more accepted. There are now people who are taking our words and putting them in the community, into the world at large. So, it's become this bigger entity. And unfortunately, now there's no such thing. There will be no such thing as a clear definition on what is A, what is B, what is C.
Well, but maybe that's the whole point of evolution. I mean, maybe that's what we really should be working towards is instead of having one definition, it's much more broad and encompassing. And that's what becomes problematic for other people is to know what it is. Because when I came into the bear community and was, an infant to it and grew up and went through my adolescence of being around bears and involved in a club and all that kind of stuff, it was a lot more narrowly defined. And then it came into adult film media. And so there was very specific imaging that was being put out there that was defining it visually. And now I think apps and websites and all of this stuff is really trying to change the landscape, that it's far more broad than it ever has been before. And that makes it much more challenging for newer people to try to figure out how to refer to it. And I see that sometimes come up as debate when you see like pop culture make reference to the community. And some people are like, well, that's not all that a bear is. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, well, you know, Zach Galifianakis is maybe a bear, but he's not representing all kinds.
He's bear-ish.
Right, but I think but that's one of the things that I like about the fact that the community now feels it has more of a voice or the ability to say, like, I'll give you some credit, but not full credit on that one. You don't really get to say that that's a complete representation. But I have an interesting question, and this is really kind of maybe more for Chris. This was also asked by our entourage group. So how do you make a person feel desirable when you're interested in them and you're not necessarily sure about the dynamic? Like, if you are being seen or labeled as a chaser, this kind of leads into like it's a multi-pronged question, but I want to start with this first because given your background, Chris, I'm guessing you've had some experiences in which you were not welcomed and they may have actually been shitty and said some stuff. Or
Chris, was I ever shitty to you?
No.
That sounded sarcastic.
At least not that I can recall or remember. Like I think I said it earlier, I've had moments where I would go up to someone and try to talk to them and I'd get the complete cold shoulder, like they didn't even know I existed and that kind of stuff. And to me, it comes down to, for me at least, I guess sometimes I can be a little bit braver than most. I will work up the courage to just go over and talk to them, just like anyone would. Mainly because you never know how they're going to react until they actually react. You just gotta, honestly, in my opinion, just prepare yourself for the worst. And if they're shitty, move on, whatever. Yeah, I guess there's no really real way to preempt that. Now, I will say when there is someone really hot and I'm really feeling thirsty, I'll do the whole jump on the phone growler thing, check to see what they're interested in, and then go over.
The perfect use of growler, I suppose.
Yeah. I won't be the guy that messages you from across the bar, but I'll be the guy that looks you up before I come over to talk to you. But when that's not happening, I will go up and just talk to you because I may think you're cute, and I'll be like, you know what? And if anything, if I find out you're not interested, here's a compliment. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's usually how I do it. I'll go up to them, I'll talk to them. If I find out they're not interested, I'll be like, cool, good to know. You're still really, really cute, and I hope you have a great day. And walk off.
Yeah.
And I made a few good friends doing that too. And for me, it's never always has to be about the sexual or has to be about attraction. I will make friends because that's who I am. So.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I like that concept of just like, at least having the interest and courage to just go up to someone and introduce yourself and see, because a lot of people don't really, not really, like, people have often asked me about Jim, my partner, what he's attracted to, and they've asked me, like, what is Jim attracted to? What does Jim find hot? And I'm like, I honestly don't know. And I asked, we were in the car the other day, and I asked him that question, and he goes, you know what? I don't know either. And he goes, it always depends honestly on the mood, the moment, who they are, what I get from them in that moment. So he never really knows truly what he's attracted to, and again, neither do I.
I think I think one time I heard it said, I forgot who said it once, is my type is, do you get my dick hard?
Well, I mean, truth be told, sometimes that's the case. I mean, honestly, if
I can't disagree with that. I mean,
it's just truth.
I'm imagining a new shirt design. You know,
I do not take credit for that. I heard it from somebody else. I don't remember who, but I guess that is true.
But yeah, that's something that's very interesting to kind of to put out there. So, like for me, I often have had to deal with the hesitation of going up to people because I don't know if they're going to be 100% attractive, and personally, I don't like rejection. So I've had to deal with that, and I've had to make sure, Usually I try to find a way. I like the whole growler idea, kind of like, oh, are they on growler? And, if you're a bear run, you probably can find them pretty easily on like growler or scruff or whatever. But, if I've been out at, say, a leather event or something along those lines, I usually can look at I'll try to find something to compliment. Mm-hmm. If I really want to get to know them, I'll try to find something to like break the ice, quote unquote, for both of us. And again, if the conversation doesn't go in a certain direction, at least I've given that to them.
Yes. I would say probably the best compliment you could give at a bear run is a beard. I found that works very well.
Nice beard.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, so that being said, like, and Chris kind of giving us that, scale, does he get your dick hard? So going to the question that was asked, this is why I said it was kind of multi-pronged. Like, so if you see a guy, let's say that you consider yourself a chaser and you see a guy that you're interested in, and he's a bigger guy, about approaching him, what I find interesting beyond that is they were saying, how do you make them feel desirable? And then the next part of that is, how do you make them feel desirable if your interest is in getting them with another, like, contrasting person? So basically, we're kind of talking about a three-way, and you like seeing different body sizes.
Just have Rook approach him. That's a COL entourage joke. If you want to be part of these in-jokes, please go to Telegram. Telegram. COL.
Yeah, so, I mean, I it's an interesting question because I hadn't really considered that before. I'm not a person who, I guess, thinks about relative body sizes in multiple people, and that really does something for me. So it's not something I hadn't considered before. But it brings up a good point, because the first part of it is, how do you approach somebody that you think is sexy AF and they don't feel that way? Do you know what I mean? And there is a notable difference between you and them.
I can kind of relate to that a little bit, maybe. I know often people will tell me that I'm attractive. I don't see it because I'm not my type. So I don't consider myself attractive. But I'm not like most people who you say that and their go-to reaction is, no, I'm not. I will tell them, oh, thank you, and leave it at that.
Yeah, like approaching somebody and having that kind of reaction, I don't even know if I could. I don't even know how I would react, honestly, or how to even prepare to react to that. I'll be completely honest. I have no idea how to do that. I'd be stammering for words, trying to figure out what the heck to say next. That would be a challenge.
I think you already have an answer. I mean, you gave it earlier. I mean, part of it, like Damien was saying about Jim, it's like about the mood, the moment, and the man. By the way, I think we should make that a thing. It's the mood, the moment, and the man. It's the 3 M's. But again, it goes back to that other scale, which is, does it get my dick hard? So if two guys... I have two guys approach Chris, and one is a very, notably a bigger guy, and the other one isn't quite as big. I think it goes back to the scale of what Chris was talking about. Like, do they both get his dick hard? Because I don't think he cares at that moment, about the sizing thing. Or if they're both big guys, maybe that gets Chris's dick even harder. I don't know. Spit roast what? So just saying.
Where'd you get that video?
Oh.
No.
I've seen some stuff online. Just saying.
I've seen some things and some stuff.
And some people. I
wasn't even going to say nothing, but since you brought it up, no, I'm kidding.
No, but I agree. Like, I don't think. I agree. Like, I probably wouldn't even be thinking about the size difference at all. Like, I'd just be in the moment and be like, yeah, you're fucking hot. My room. This is my room number. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something to, like, to me, everything would depend on the, again, like I said, the mood, the moment, the man. Like, if a chaser was interested in me and they had a sexy boyfriend or bigger boyfriend, like a whatever, or partner or best friend, or they came to the run together and they just met, whatever, and they invited me to my room, it would be a matter of me seeing, like, looking at them both and seeing if I like what they're offering.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to depend on the moment, but the thing is, you can't always have an answer to that question, because it's going to always be determined about everything else, so many different factors. Did you just come? Do you have other plans? Are you recording a podcast? Just saying.
Sounds like somebody is speaking from personal experience. No, but you do have a good point, though, Damon. I mean, and that's true, especially when you're at an event, and it doesn't matter how you label yourself or what your size is. The truth is, like, if you approach somebody and they decline, don't necessarily immediately internalize it and think like, oh, they don't like me because I'm bigger, because I'm smaller, whatever. It could be like, no, like they're dry. Like, it's gonna come out as dust. You need to give them time to replenish. They gotta hydrate before they can ejaculate again. I mean, maybe
I need a few hours. I need to, like, hydrate and have some dinner, maybe take a little nap, then I'll be ready to go.
I mean, maybe they just need to drain the life essence from a half a dozen guys before they can, get off again. I don't know.
What's that?
Chris makes a point. Chris Green in the chat makes a point, which I think was partially about a point that I made earlier today in the Telegram chat. One of the challenges is the assumption of binary. If you express an interest in big people, you must be attracted to skinny chasers, or vice versa. Must not be attracted to skinny chasers, vice versa.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know about you, but yeah, I'm not so attracted to the skinny people. Like, no offense, Chris, I'm not attracted to you and your size, but maybe if you were a little thick, chunkier, but only a little, all the way to those big super chubs, I got this nice range. And who knows, if there's a chaser, if we're trying to do a three-way, hey, I don't care who's there. As long as I'm attracted to one of them. That's
right. I mean, maybe Jeff is on one end and the other guy is on the other end, and you're both high-fiving over top of the boy that's being roasted. I mean,
I've been in a threesome like that where I was very much not involved, or very much not attracted to one of the members of a couple. And I was up front and told him that, you're not really my type, and we get into things, and he's doing stuff to me, and didn't bother me that he was doing it, but I had no drive to do anything back to him.
Mhm.
And I think as long as everyone in said threesome or foursome or whatever is understanding of that, then so be it. As long as everyone kind of is on the same page in regards to what their interest and is or not non-interest is, then so be it. And I like Chris Green's thing there, that you're one, if you're into one, you're not into the other, is that not being true? That's totally not true. As everyone says, everyone has a spectrum of what they find attractive. Everyone, I think, they have preferences, quote unquote, of and things that they maybe find more attractive, but that again does not necessarily mean that they don't find other things attractive.
So I think that goes into something that's happened at a couple of different bear runs, that the idea of it sounds great, but it kind of, this brings up a good point. I don't know if you guys remember at least from Bear Pride Chicago, and I think he brought them to Transfer as well, the Chaser Friendly pins.
Oh, yeah, Devin.
Yeah.
Devin.
Yes.
He's made them for 4 years, maybe.
Yes. And when he first started doing it, I thought it was a fantastic idea because of how much, again goes back to the idea of that bravery of just going up to finding somebody to help out. If they have the pin on, But I've talked to a few friends about that, and they said that, well, I got the pin because, I do like chasers as well. But I have found that people put me now into this new box of not being attracted to bears or anything like that. So to me, that brought up that whole idea, is that it is that the idea of that it is binary, that it is either you're into skinny people or into bigger guys. And that was my first experience hearing that kind of thing come out. I'm like, that's actually really interesting.
It's a rather interesting concept of the whole idea that if you either like this or you don't. It's an in or out. It's never it's never a Venn diagram. It's always a two circles.
Yeah.
They never conjoin. It's never
Well, it's an interesting point because, like Dogai was just saying, he's like, dispreference is a word, meaning things that you disprefer. Which I find interesting because I think that's what becomes difficult. Like, I think it's cute when I see a shirt that's like, all cocks taste great. I like that shirt. I think it would be fun to wear. But then I think, but I don't want to wear that. Because then that becomes like an open invitation that literally every penis available in the world could potentially be like wanting me to suck it. And that's not the case.
Well, I don't want you to suck it. It's just that you won't.
Right, and so being a passive type,
I've
person,
tasted some nasty cocks.
Yeah.
So have I.
Ditto.
I think we've all have.
Yeah. So because of that, and knowing that some of them, no offense, they nasty. I don't want to walk around in an open invitation and then have to turn people down. So I think that's where we run into this issue of whether or not you want to have a label or wear a pin or anything, and then have to deal with whatever comes after that. It's interesting, Chris, that you bring that up because I hadn't considered that before, but also the delivery of what that means can be very interesting, because to just read the pin is one thing, but when someone gives it to you and says, this means this, in that moment, you are being told definitively to that person, and if it's in this case Devin, and he created it, you know what it means to them, but you don't know what other people would interpret that as.
Yeah, especially someone who's new to the event, has never seen them before. They see the pin, and they're going to put their own assumptions into their mind.
Right. And so, I mean, that's like, I'll talk about it. Last year with our event, we did kind of a Rocky Horror type thing. And when you go to our Rocky Horror event, they have a tendency to ask who the virgins are, people that have never seen the movie or the stage show before. So we did a play on that, and we had two pins. We had virgins and veterans. But the concept was that people who had never been to the run before got to wear a virgin pin, and then others could wear a veteran pin if they wanted to. And the whole idea was just to try to help new people know who the people were that they could approach that were
Yeah.
interested in, and saying, if you had a question, you were like, hey, I don't know where to find these supplies, or, what is it that I should be, expecting from this weekend, or something like that, that kind of a deal. It kind of got executed a little differently in a way. I think like afterwards, the feedback, like some of the things I saw and whatever, I was like, okay, so that didn't quite go. And that was just a lesson in, you can have the best concept or best idea, but once it kind of gets out there, it goes further than you expect it to.
Yeah.
And so you don't really have a whole lot of, ability to do something once it's been released in that case.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with, how you want to choose to label yourself. It's really interesting. This whole binary, issue is spot on about, you don't have to be one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
As far as a person and how they label themselves and whatever that item may be, so to speak.
All right.
One thing that people really need to think more about is that chasers don't necessarily have to be people. Chasers, admirers, hunters, category unknown, don't necessarily have to be someone you would completely avoid, because I don't know about you, they may have the same taste as you, so they could be your wingman. Or tag team,
I love playing wingman. It is so much fun.
Hey, and I'd probably be even up for tag teaming too, so.
Nice.
I mean, if you're going to spit roast somebody, you need somebody on the other end.
Right.
Now I got part of that song in my head. Anyways. Any other thoughts as we're wrapping up here on this concept of the idea of chaser, hunter, admirer, whatever you want to
so
use as your label?
Let's figure something out here. Official stance. Chris, what do you think would probably be the best way to refer to this category of people? Is chaser just fine? Admirer is probably the best.
Personally, I prefer admirer, but again, that's going to be up to the person. It's all up to you. If you want to be labeled as, if you want to go by chaser, if you like the term chaser, go for it. If you like the term admirer, go for it. If you like the term hunter, go for it. If you want to create something your own, platypus, whatever, go for it.
I've actually heard that referred to one before.
Or if you're into puppy play, it would be a
pup.
Platypup.
Platypup.
God damn it.
Platypup.
And we're starting to get into animals from Avatar: The Last Airbender. No from Daddy Gary, apparently.
No.
Okay, so
we're not. No, platypup is not a thing. We're not making it a thing. It shall not be a thing.
So say we all. Apparently. Okay, so I'm
not
going to refer
for everybody. I'm just saying.
I'm going to refer to. I'm now going to refer to everybody in this category as wingmen.
Okay.
But what if you want to be
Personal
the
opinion?
main event? Then you're not the wingman.
I mean, if you're trying to do a threesome, a wingman still can be the person in the middle. They're just the person with you as you're going to find the third.
You need a second side of that Eiffel Tower.
Oh, look at you.
Crickets?
You're getting all like into physics and architecture. That's making my brain hurt because trying to figure out how that works.
I think then that's my cue for this. So last week, Gary was distracted during most of the episode. Well, the Canadian Maple has competition. Maple
Also
Leaf
from
Cub,
Canada.
a former pedestal, the last pedestal, who stepped aside. I hate that term. As we put on Craig, and he's feeling a little cheeky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw this last week while I was looking at the one that Gary posted, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. It's a nice butt.
This is not the one that Gary posted last week.
This is
He's-
not the one.
He's got a really nice dupa. I mean, what is there to say? The boy, you know.
That dupa.
But it's a cute butt.
It's a cute butt, yes.
It's a nom 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 kind of butt, you know? I mean, you know.
Now, are you referring to Maple Leaf Cub or Canadian Maple?
I'm referring to Maple Leaf Cub, the one that you posted that says feeling a little cheeky.
Okay, just want to make sure we're staying on topic. Cool. I agree.
Hey, listen, so far I have yet to necessarily know a Canadian that I don't want to see if their taint tastes like maple syrup. So if that helps anybody.
Wow. Wow.
Let me message Greg and Derek.
Dear Bed of the Dead in Canada, Gary would like to know.
God bless it.
Anyways, it's a butt shimmy.
It's a very cute butt. It's a very nice butt.
And
It's
it's
a very
Maple
good
Leaf
picture.
Cub, so of course it's hot.
GIF.
Damon.
So I found oh gosh, sorry. A great leather look. So this is he's Johnny Rampage on Tumblr, and he has this very interesting leather jock / harness kind of combination going on. I really, really, really like it. It is a jock. I can look on the back, and
It's a harness jock.
That's what I
Yeah.
said. A harness jock.
harness jock.
Oh, well, it kind of cut out for me. I was kind of confused.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it
Really weird singlet, maybe?
no. It's good. I like it, and he's a nice looking guy, and it frames
what
him
he's-
really well.
What he's wearing, and just him in general, is good looking. That pose, though. There's
Well-
something that's awkward about that pose. Maybe it's the fact that that whatever background he was on has been completely removed, so he's just kind of like
That's
floating
exactly
in
what
air.
it is. There's no shadows anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like his feet are kind of, it almost looks like one of his foot is on the step, like his left foot is on a step or something to kind of get up a little bit, and just the kind of like just the angle that he's like flexing his muscle just seems it's very gay
I find this very funny that for many times that Gary and I would talk about the backgrounds and other stuff of photos, that you're the one that's commenting on that
Lack
this
of
looks odd. Yeah, like you're
Well,
the one
here's
that's
the
like,
thing is, the
this
first
doesn't
thing-
look right. And
the
there's
first
this angle
thing
and
is,
blah, blah, blah,
I was
yeah.
looking at this and I'm like, oh, neat, but something's weird about this. Like it's obviously weird, and
you pointed out, yes.
but it's
Well-
not just the background; it's also the way he's posed. Just
Yeah.
doesn't seem comfortable at all. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think I will say this. I think
I think
As-
there's issues with the picture. I'm not saying that it's a bad picture. I'm saying there's issues with the picture that could make it much better, such as a background. Basically see what he's actually standing on, and the pose could be improved.
maybe I don't know.
Gary,
It's not
What
so
were you
much for me the pose. I think this concept needs some work. Like personally for me, there's a couple things about this particular attire I'm not a fan of, but I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think it needs some refinement. It's kind of like when we talk on RuPaul's Drag Race about like, I see where you're going with this, but you probably could have done something a little different. And
There needs to be a pouch in that codpiece
yes.
area thing, because that's all smushed him down.
well, and so the thing for me about this though is I think when it comes to leather, that's why I don't really own any, because either you have it made custom, so you get what you really want, and it probably will be flattering, or you buy it off the rack, and then you got to work with what it is, unless you go to someone and have it worked further. And that's kind of what I think this situation is like. It looks more to me like someone created something or came up or conceived an idea and he got it. And I just think this picture in particular, it's not really making a big splash with me. It's not awful, but it's also not knocking my socks off. Yeah. And so maybe that's why the background and the pose and all that, like, it's just coming for each of us a little bit differently. But I will say this, you know what? He's got bigger balls than I do about rocking this, so there you go.
I don't know how big his balls are after this. But...
Stop it.
If you look at, he is definitely being smushed down. If you go to his profile or his Tumblr page, he is not shy, and he is endowed. Just putting it out there. Chester, how about you?
I titled mine Nick's Almost Dick Slip.
Okay.
So, funny story. I got to actually meet Nick this week.
I hate you.
He was actually in town this weekend for work. So
did you touch his wiener?
Yes.
I hate you even more.
He is actually a super, super sweet guy. I will tell you that. And oh god, that deep voice. Yeah,
deep voices are a turn on for me for sure.
Oh, and look who just Snapchat me.
Is it Nick? Just Snapchat you? Dick pic?
Yes, we did. I don't think he has any idea because he's on the road back home to Iowa right now, and okay. Hi.
Tell him to shoot a email of that pic to cubsoutloud@gmail.com.
Oh, stop it.
It's only fair if he Snapchatted you while you were on the show. It's only fair.
Well, his just like our last one, he's not. I know I follow his Tumblr. He's not shy either. So
I'm surprised I wasn't following him. I am now.
So going back to my Tumblr pic. This is a Tumblr that I follow, a gentleman on Tumblr that I follow. He's standing up on his knees on his bed, and he has his comforter strategically placed in front of him, and it's covering almost every part of his dick and balls except for, just the tiniest bit of base.
Yeah.
And he's just a very, very handsome man.
Yes. Nice. It's a good photo, and he is a handsome man, and I bet his dick is tasty. Just putting it out there. I actually really like the brown, I guess, or red ink on his arm. The design there, the tribal-ish tattoo there. I really like it. I tend to like that it's light, but it's there. You can see that, you can see it, and it's just really, it looked really good. So there's that.
So yeah, moving on.
Gary.
Oh, sorry, I was lost in the land of tumbles.
Extracted.
Yeah, there's that. So I called mine. Yeah, well, mine, it has kind of a caption, but it was a little long, so I call it The Devil's Cub Starting Off 2018. And the Devil's Cub happens to be the Tumblr account name, and that he posted these two pictures of him showing off his Eiffel Tower, as we'll put it. So it says, I'm starting off 2018 off with probably the best dick pics I'm ever going to take, so enjoy them.
I think we found our LT. LT.
Wow. Who knows?
I don't know, but he's got a nice, big, long, veiny, thick-looking dick. So, just saying.
I'm admiring it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just like, Oh, why
It's
is that?
it's like the end of Star Wars, Chapter 4, and it's straight, true, right for the target. I mean, that's the kind of
Wow.
Stay on target.
Right.
Stay on target.
It goes right down the trench. I got it. I'm with you.
Luke, put your visor on. It's gonna get you in the eye.
Turn off the targeting device.
I'm done.
Ah!
Dead.
We done.
Dead.
We done. That's it.
D-E-D.
David's tapping out.
No, we're not done because we got Chris's.
Well, I think we kind of broke Chris a little bit. I mean, David's officially done broken.
Haven't you learned yet what we are like on this show? Come on. Anyways. Tim, what do you got?
Go ahead.
Or, no,
Chris?
Chris, what do you
Now that I'm back here, so I picked Tim. He's the Red Knight 10 on Tumblr. This year, after speaking with him, he's been posting a lot more stuff of himself rather than just reblogging. And there's just the red beard and the whole package and just everything. Yeah.
I like
so
the Superman tattoo.
Yes, he has a Superman tattoo. But yeah, I went with him because he's awesome.
Yep. Deep throat.
God damn it. We're still doing.
Well, the reason why is because the live show, if you're watching it, is a few moments behind. So Chris is now just hearing us talk about Star Wars.
You could still kind of, use that same thing with this Night Spinas as well.
Mm-hmm. And he's a big Star Wars fan too, so it worked.
Works.
Wow.
Jeff?
All right, moving on into the links. So this is actually related to pre-show conversation. Because Damon apparently was trying the new Diet Coke flavors.
Yep.
And so did Rhett and Link of Good Mythical Morning.
Mm-hmm.
So on one of their daily episodes, which now consists of 4 episodes each day, long story, they tried the new Diet Coke flavors. So
Sweet.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. So now you can see what they think. Also,
side note, at Walt Disney World at Epcot, they have a World of Coke place there, and you can go in there, and they'll give you little tiny cups. You can go in there and you can try all sorts of different flavors of Coke-branded products from around the world.
Oh, neato.
And it's always fun to go in there with people who's never been there before, because they have this one, it's called Beverly, and it's really fucking nasty. And I don't know where it comes from. I want to say it comes from India, but I'm not certain. It's just fucking vile. So you take people in there who's never been there, and that's the first thing that you have them try. Because you get to watch their facial
that way
reaction.
everything else tastes
Because
good.
you really want to give them a bad impression of Coke. That's kind of like, hey, do you like jelly beans? Eat the black ones first, and then watch whether or not they like licorice flavor. I mean,
or you could give them a burger flavor from Bots, the Harry Potter one.
Birdie Bots.
Thank you.
I would mix it up. Like, I would give them like a sweet tasting one, and then like a mid one, and then I'd give them a nasty one, and then I'd reward them with 2 or 3 really good ones afterwards. Like, I wouldn't lead off with the nasty stuff, because if you did that to me, I'd be like, nope, I'm done, I'm good. I'm just gonna go wash my mouth out and no more.
Beverly originated in Italy.
Oh.
As I'm reading, sorry, this is what I do.
Andrew.
It was I had to go look it up because I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And why do they keep giving it to people? So it was just saying, yeah. So it's from Italy. It was introduced in Italy in 1969 as a non-alcoholic aperitif, which I don't know what it is.
Aperitif.
Aperitif. Thank you. Are drinks that are consumed before meals and are believed to aid digestion.
Oh, it's a digestive. Okay.
Interesting.
Which
So, yeah.
is probably why it tastes awful. Anyways.
So this is actually from the Coca-Cola Company. So here you go.
Also, I'm actually going to do a pic that came from Chris Green in our Telegram chat. What a reference to our Telegram chat. It's the Puppy Bowl trading cards.
It's not there anymore.
It's not?
Well, it says 404 page cannot be found.
Hold on. If you, maybe the link.
Oh, yeah, the Puppy Bowl is over.
Nope, you can still go to puppybowltradingcards.com. Just that, not the link.
There you go.
And you can create a Puppy Bowl card. And the thing is, some of those examples include cats, but that's beside the point. But you know what?
I did
because
see
there are puppies amongst us.
Yes, and I did see today that Pup Cruz made his own Puppy Bowl card and posted on Facebook, and I was highly amused by this idea that the pup community was suddenly going to take over this blessed site, and they were all going to have their own trading card or something.
So did.
My first reaction from that when I saw people posting them, I'm like, I wonder if Animal Planet somehow saves these pictures for whatever reason and wonders how they feel about all these human puppy pictures.
I mean, from what I understand, the plan was to like take the pictures and like put them on screen during the actual Puppy Bowl today. So I'm just thinking, oh, the poor person that needs to go through all these.
Yeah.
Well, if they were smart, they would have a team of people admin moderating it. They wouldn't just live feed it like Twitter, and just let all the shit post up there, because Lord only knows what you would get.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure that there were other people just not in the puppy community just shit posting about it, just making random stuff. So
yeah.
But I just found it I think I saw 20 of them today across my Facebook feed.
Ditto.
Nice.
It's a fun idea. It was cute.
It was cute. I still think it's cute.
I would have made one if I had a pup put, but I don't.
You could have made one for Sonnet.
I made one for Scout, actually. Which, by the way, is in the Telegram chat. The thing that you don't read very often.
He sees important enough messages. Thank you very much.
Yes, dick pics are always...
I don't have a Shade fan.
Don't worry, we'll get you one.
I'll go steal one off a table.
Anywho, moving right along. Screen for the Puppy Bowl.
So, Damon, you do not have a link. So mine is, and that's because I just saw it pop up. Justin Timberlake's Super Bowl halftime show.
Sweet.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm a big fan of Justin Timberlake. And just by seeing people's posts on social media, I'm gathering he did a tribute to Prince. So that'll be interesting. I've already seen a lot of hate about it. Like, why Justin Timberlake? He is not that great. And I'm like, have you ever actually seen or listened to him as an artist? And I don't mean in you could not like his music, but still appreciate what he can do as an artist. Because the guy can sing, he can dance, he can play 12 different instruments. He writes and composes his own music. That is an artist.
So I've gotten a lot of people oh, they're anyway, underwhelming, blah blah blah, but whatever. I don't care. I personally don't care. I don't care. I'll just put it like that. I don't care who it was. I don't care.
Okay.
So there.
Okay.
Damon doesn't care. So Gary.
And some people are probably not going to care about this either, but we were informed by Arrow that the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I just checked. It is officially over. 41-33 Eagles
Jesus
beat the Patriots.
Christ.
Yep.
That's for a football game, that's a high scoring game.
For the Super Bowl.
No, just in general. In football, that's a high scoring game.
High. Not really.
Yep, and my condolences go out to everybody in Philadelphia. Please be safe tonight.
Yep.
Or,
Right
better yet, you could stay home and you could watch Cubs Out Loud on YouTube and watch tonight's show. Since you were probably busy watching men in tight pants play with pigskin. So, Now
men in
there's
baggy
that.
pants trying to stay warm and talking about
We're men.
thinner men.
We're men in tights.
Yes.
Tights. Anyways. All right, so my pick this week, because it literally came out right before we went live today, is the 45-second TV spot called Big Game. It's from Solo, a Star Wars movie, the new Lucasfilm movie that's coming out this May on the 41st anniversary of the very first Star Wars movie. So you get to see a little bit of some of the characters we're expecting. Lando. The very last shot is of the actor that's going to be playing Han. So some people are kind of super excited about it. Actually, I'm excited for it because there's some shit in this I did not expect at all. There's this whole scene. You have to watch it, but there's this whole thing where it's like an intake interview. And my impression is that like Han is being interviewed to join the Empire. I don't understand what the hell's happening. I am so intrigued now. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, so that looks crazy to me. And then, of course, there's like some crazy gold opera singer. And we're supposed to get the story about how Chewbacca comes along on the Millennium Falcon and the Kessel Run and all that stuff. So things that we've always kind of wondered about for decades now is apparently going to be on the big screen in a couple of months. So
Sweet.
There's the trailer that people have been kind of like greatly anticipating. So that's my pick from today. Chris, what's yours?
So I picked someone, YouTube artist, Caleb Hiles. He does a lot of cover work on a lot of different anime, pop punk, various other type of music. He's super cute, but also he has a really, really awesome voice. His latest cover he did of Never Enough from Greatest Showman, which was fantastic.
That was such an awesome movie.
It was. Oh my god! And
So great.
he's actually been saying he's going to cover a bunch more and do a couple collabs with other artists to put more of that music out there. He did a whole series of, if anyone's a fan of Steven Universe, he did a whole series of songs from that. Yeah, so if you're looking for good cover music, I'd say go give him a listen. He's actually really, really good and very easy on the eyes. So.
Oh, he's the cutie of okay. So no, because I went to the YouTube channel and started playing him with a guy by the name of Jonathan Young. So they were doing a duet of a song from the Prince of Egypt movie, I guess.
Yes.
So I was confused because there were two bearded guys on the screen singing, and I was kind of like, oh, well, one looks a little cubbier than the other, with a slightly rounder face. And so now that I'm not watching that any further, I'm like, oh, it's him.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
The bigger bearded guy.
Yeah. Yeah. They're both really good. I'll give it that. They're both really good artists, but I wanted to highlight Caleb because he just put out because of Greatest Showman, and that was a fantastic song.
Okay, so because I sort of I believe in whatever it is that you want to call it, the secret or whatever, that if you put it into the universe, there's a possibility it might happen. I would like to see this guy get together with the guy that does all the voices.
Oh,
that's
Brian
also
Hall?
Oh.
Yeah.
The Disney guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The two of them should have nasty, like, get a cookie afterwards sex. I'm just saying.
Well,
And use a
usually when you're
towel.
done with sex. And usually when you're done with sex, shouldn't you get a cookie? Because you're both sticky anyways.
Yes, I do believe if you have good to moderate and above sex, you should get a cookie.
Mm-hmm.
I had two earlier.
Sex experiences or cookies?
Yes.
Cookies.
I like how Jeff's like, yes. That's it, all of the above.
All right.
And I think that's it for tonight's show.
Yeah. So that's the end. Oh. By ways to contact us, I really need to rewrite this script, by the way, because everything gets all over the place. So obviously, pop over to Telegram and join us in our Telegram chat at tinyurl.com/telegram-col. Then you can see what the hell all these inside jokes are about. You can also pop over to our website, comesoutloud.com. Shoot us an email at comesoutloud@gmail.com. Leave us a sexy voicemail or otherwise at 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube. It comes out loud in the appropriate place of the URL. Please join us over on the Bear Underground, the official Bear website of Comes Out Loud. You can rate us on iTunes, subscribe to us through Google Play Podcasts, and listen and give us a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio. You can find me anywhere on the internet as Box Puppy, Box Cub, Box something or other.
You can find me as Theater Cub 79 on Bear Underground, etc., etc. Or you can find me on Twitter as pup_umbra.
You can find me on Tumblr or Twitter under the name The Pup Up There, working out in the gym at Club Columbus. Or various beer dating sites across the net under the name Pup Shutter or Cupcake76.
Gary, come on.
Okay. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can pretty much find me anywhere online as GareBear73. That's GARBEAR73. That could be Bear Underground, Growler, Tumblr, and all sorts of other places. Chris, if people would like to reach out and touch you, get in touch with you. What are the various ways they can do that?
Club 5 in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm there every Saturday night.
Oh.
Damn.
Every Saturday night.
Dismissed.
Just the second and fourth. The first and third, I'm down at Wolf's.
Okay.
Clap back.
The entire gay community here. But otherwise, you can find me as Pup Riku. That's RIKU on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Growler, Scruff, Recon, any of those. Or you can hit me up on Snapchat as Nabisco2K5. That's the only one that's different. So.
And we know he gets hit on there.
Someone has a question.
Send him your dick pics.
Here you go. And with that, broke Chris.
Wait a minute.
And with that, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, man.
Have a good one, y'all.
Did you ever have one of those times where it's just like, I can't take you anywhere? I'm having one of those days.
So, one of these things is not like the other. Chris, I'm very curious about why your Snapchat name is nothing like everything else.
Keep in mind, we're still recording.
Is there like a fetish thing? Are you worried about copyright infringement from Nabisco? I'm trying to figure out.
So the reason I chose Nabisco on there was mainly because, well, actually, I really don't know why I chose that over the other things. I honestly don't know. Nabisco comes from a nickname I had since high school. So that's just carried me from high school through college and stuff like that. So
Okay. why were people calling you Nabisco in high school?
So my nicknames usually ended up being Cookie, Oreo, anything like that. And then someone decided, oh, I'm going to try to be unique, and I'm going to call you Nabisco, because Nabisco makes Oreos.
They also make pancake mix.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they make Chips Ahoy, Belvita, Ritz crackers, Teddy Grahams, Triscuits, Wheat Thins. I mean, I'm reading the website.
Bisquick.
So that kind of just caught on, and that became my nickname, and it ended up carrying with me through college. I'm not sure how many people in my theater group actually knew my real name for a while.
That's kind of like Evan. Everyone in his high school always called him Pancakes because it's very similar to his last name. Mm-hmm. And when we first started going out, we were at an escape room waiting to go in. Mm-hmm. And the guy running the place had come out of, behind the scenes or whatever, comes into the waiting room and he goes, "Pancakes?" And I looked at him, I'm like, "What the hell's that about?" And then Evan looks up and he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And at first I thought it was kind of derogatory, like it was a nickname he didn't like. Because just the way he reacted to the guy. And then afterwards I found out he's like, "No, everybody in school call me Pancakes. I'm used to it."
Yeah. That's why a couple of my college friends on Facebook, you'll see them comment on things every once in a while and just say Bisco or something like that, or Nabisco on my post. That's what it's from.
Oh, well, I was thinking maybe it was more a reference to, like thirst posts, like you need a biscuit.
To sop you up?
Well, not that kind of biscuit, but anyways.
I mean, I can even go as worse and say, just stay with the Oreo theme and say I'm still looking for the cream filling.
Or you could find two black gentlemen and you could be
Nope.
the cream filling.
Wow!
No.
Completely co-opt and bastardize a previous hashtag that would be intentional race play, I think.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
If he's fetishizing them, then yes. But if he's not,
it's just like, hey, this would be funny, and you guys are super cute.
Let's turn off.
If this were the Gong Show, that would be the loud gong going off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why that one ended up being different. I think I was drunk when I made it, and I chose that name over the Paprika name. So,
see, with Bisco and biscuits, you could say that you just like to get the gravy. Biscuits and gravy.
Done.
And there goes Damon.
That didn't even have anything to do with race either.
No, I don't think so. I think he was just like...
It could be white gravy or brown gravy. It doesn't matter.
Anywho, I'm gonna head off because I gotta work at 8 a.m.
Okay, I'm gonna stop streaming.